Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to City Skylines. It's been a while for me since I've played this game. It might only be like, I don't know, 2 weeks since I last uploaded a video on the channel. But for me, it's been a little bit longer. I decided to take a little bit of a break from the game because I kind of been playing it like non-stop every single day for the past few episodes, basically. Just tweaking on some stuff and whatnot. But it's good to be back making more videos for you guys to watch. I mean, that's why I'm doing this. But like I said, this is part 2 from the previous video. This is part 2 of the national park. And right off the bat, I just want to say that the rocks that you see, I kind of blanked out for a second. The rocks that you guys can see on the cliff faces. In the last video, I said I was using the default game rocks because they conform to the terrain and they affect the flow of water. I went ahead and got rid of those. Probably to the delight of some of you. I didn't really see any complaints in the comments of the last video, but upon further review, I did not like the way that they looked. So I went out and I got some more terrain conforming rocks and whatnot. So hopefully that should be a lot better. They look a lot better too. But aside from that, now jumping into what's actually happening on screen, in the last episode I did talk about making a sort of little town. Not really something big, just little stores. To the little stores for the people that are going to be either visiting, camping in the national park, whatever. Basically just stuff like that. So right now I'm just putting down a little zoning area, and then in this zoning area is actually little cabins. I imagine that they would be log cabins, essentially. You know, escape from the city, little time in the outdoors. But of course, the log cabins aren't just going to be in the middle of nowhere. You probably would, I don't know, maybe want a souvenir or restock on some supplies, or I don't know. I don't know, but usually whenever I go camping or whatnot, I don't usually go camping, but when we do, there is usually a little, just like a single street or two with some nice commercial buildings and whatnot that'll keep you fueled, I guess. So that's what oh my gosh, I just choked on my words. That's what I'm going ahead and putting in right here. I also, for the alleyway that you can see, I'm covering up with the ploppable asphalt. So it matches the road texture and actually looks like asphalt instead of just cement and whatnot, so that's good. I also used a bunch of decals to make the road look a lot weathered and worn out like it would be. You'll see me do that later on. But so that's basically what I'm doing here, just putting down some commercial buildings that are going to fit the same theme as the rest of the city. So they're little one-story, maybe two-story buildings. So nothing too crazy. But moving on from that, there is one issue that must be discussed, and that is the amount of props and trees in this national park. Now, in the last video, I also talked about how I did not have the unlimited prop tool yet. Well, after the recording of that, I went out and I did get it, and it was being used in this video. However, I think... what am I trying to say here? I've reached the prop limit, or the tree limit, is what I'm trying to say. And I don't know if the mod is working properly or something, but basically when I tried to put down some trees and whatnot later on, you might see it, I don't know if I cut out the recording, but basically it gave me like a little error message, and I'm not quite sure what the error message meant, but it kind of concerns me, and I'm just wondering, I mean, I have not loaded up the save game of this city since I recorded this. So what you're seeing on screen as of the time that I am recording this audio, which is probably going to be the day or two before this video goes up, is the last time I've played the game. So I'm just gonna put a warning out there that this may possibly be the last video for this city in the event that my city completely crashes and dies because of the amount of trees that are going on. I mean, I tried to go with a really realistic sort of, super dense forest, because, usually when you look at a forest, it's not just trees sparsely planted here and there. Trees will grow wherever they possibly can. And especially with national forests, those things are very, very thick and dense with vegetation. So that's what I went ahead and I did. And it would appear that the game is not too happy with me doing that. So that's just something that I'd like to say right now. Again, like I said, if this is if it does mess up the game and this ends up being the last video, hopefully it's not, because I still want to get out a few more videos. I'm thinking maybe at least 15 episodes for this series. I want at least 15. Because the population is getting very high and the game is slowing down dramatically. And there really isn't a whole lot much left to do. And that's kind of my fault, really. I did a lot of stuff off camera, number one, and number two, I kind of just went ahead and, let's see, what's the word? Went overboard, I guess. I kind of did a lot of stuff. Instead of this being a sort of smaller city, it kind of developed into this giant megalopolis. Is that how you say it? Either way, turned to a humongous city. Just the skyline alone is pretty vast. And the skyline, compared to, I guess, the rest of the suburbs and whatnot, probably doesn't really match up. So the suburbs would have to be a lot bigger to accommodate that skyline. So that's where I guess I messed up with the city. But aside from all of that stuff that I was just talking about, let's talk about what's happening on screen right now. That's enough of just rambling about personal thoughts and whatnot on the game. So like I said before, I went ahead and I put the decals down. You probably just saw me put them down right then and there. The faded decals and the stains makes the road look a lot more aged, and I also use the cracked, basically the filled-in cracks of the asphalt. So it makes it look like the weather has gotten to it and messed up the road, and rather than repaving it, they just went ahead and put the asphalt to fill the cracks, which they do a lot where I live. So that's probably where I got the inspiration for that from. And right now, just putting in, basically there was this big plot of empty land in the back, and like I was saying before, this was just supposed to be a very small little commercial center for anybody who wants to venture out in this direction, so they're not, completely cut off from society and the rest of the city. And the metro line stops here too, so of course they would be a little, they would take advantage of that and, develop their shops. But I didn't want it to be too big, so that's why you saw me filling in the empty spaces in the background, or not in the background, but behind each building, with just dirt and grass and whatnot. It's not really well maintained, so kind of fits the theme of this being, more secluded and left alone from the city. But now, moving on, we are moving to the second phase, and the much lesser phase of the national park. This side does not have, at least at the moment, any trails running through it. Does not have any special roads running through it. It's strictly, at the moment of this recording, just this mountain with some trees. And I tried to do a little landscaping thing over here. I was trying to copy a sort of way that Fluxtrance made his mountains on both Arrowhead Junction and Rhinestone Island. He's a great guy. I don't know him personally, but his cities look fantastic. So he's actually the main inspiration for me making this series. So, well, you just learned something. But like I was saying, I decided to ditch that, and I just went ahead and used a larger brush and just kind of sculpted a mountain as a big, nice range cutting through this corner of the map. And like I said, I'll cover it with trees later. And that brings me to another issue. Like I was saying earlier. Actually, wait a minute. I already talked about this. I already talked about the tree limit. Yeah, so I don't know why I'm bringing that up. Jeez. Jeez. What am I doing? I can't even think straight. So, forget what I just said. Just at the moment, looking for the water to pop out. Yep, there it is. I do end up getting rid of that lake because one thing that I learned, and it was actually in the options when I downloaded it, so I don't know why I kind of just ignored it, but basically the 81 tiles mod will create tsunamis if the city tiles that you purchase are not within that the default map boundaries. It'll create a tsunami. So there's a little tsunami that forms every time I load up the game right by the dam. And right then and there, a few seconds ago, you just saw me try and copy and paste that giant chunk of trees, and I was met with that little error message. So I went ahead and I deleted those trees, hopefully to, I guess, not destroy my game. But that's basically what I was talking about. So I don't really know what that thing means, but because of that, I decided to limit the amount of trees for the rest of the park. It is absolutely nowhere near as dense as the little river canyon that I created. So just FYI on that. But moving on from whatever it was I was just talking about. Right here, I'm just creating a connection, a better connection, I should say, to the main city. So previously, in the beginning of the video, you probably saw me connecting up the national road that feeds that little town with a little dirt road right by a little sewage plant. Of course, that is just temporary because it was the nearest road that I could connect to, and I needed the traffic to develop the city. But that is in no means permanent. I'm going to replace that later on, hopefully, if I don't forget about it. But when I went ahead and I connected the metro line, as you can see, to this side of the city and made a proper connection, I decided to make this the start of where a national road will branch off from the city, and from this point on it would be more rural, and if any buildings go up here, it would be very suburban Americana housing, not the little Brooklyn buildings. It'd be residential, actual houses, and that's pretty much the main plan that I was trying to go for with the rest of this series in a way. The remaining, the final days of this series. The last episodes are probably going to be focused more on just suburbs and whatnot, because I've made a very dense city, and I've been very city focused, very urban focused, I should say. Lots of concrete, not a lot of trees and openness. And usually cities are surrounded with residential, neighborhoods and whatnot like that. So that is the plan that I'm going to be going for, probably for the remainder of this series. And if you notice just right then and there, I cut that out. There is Farmland. At the very first episode of this series, for the map, there was Farmland originally, and it was all completely destroyed as the city developed. But now there is more farmland. This farmland is going to be permanent, hopefully. I don't plan on destroying it. And of course there's going to be more of it. I decided to put the farmland there because it was just a lot of open space, and I felt like just putting trees and whatnot in there, just foliage in general, wouldn't have done it very due justice. The city needs food, so obviously there's going to be farmland at the edge of the outskirts of the city. So it just made sense to do that. And right here you can see me going ahead and deleting a bunch of trees, and you could just see the density difference between that one side of the road where the farmland is and the national park that I had built thus far. And you could just see that difference in tree density that I was talking about previously. And what I'm going to try and do over here is blend it. So right now I use the lighter density of trees that I had making the trees on the mountain. And then I used Move It, copy and pasted a little section of trees to help better blend it and fill in the empty areas. So now you get the lighter amount of trees up on the mountain. And eventually, as you approach the canyon, it of course becomes much more denser. So that's basically it for this. There's not much more that's going to be happening with this episode, beside me laying down these pedestrian paths, more hiking trails and whatnot, copy and pasting that little dirt parking spot. Pretty much going to wrap up the episode here, at least for commentary. There's not much left to talk about. I think I've covered all bases on what I really wanted to get off my chest regarding this series thus far. So I'm going to leave you guys, obviously, with some nice cinematics. Again, thank you so much for watching. New episodes are going to be coming up. I don't know. I try to get them up at least once a week. I do. But school's coming to a close for the summer, so time on my end is really getting constricted. I'm getting a lot of end of school projects and work to do. So not a whole lot of time to be just spending hours playing this game. I'd like to spend hours playing this game, but I can't really do that all the time. So that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe if you like the content that you're seeing. Leave any suggestions in the comments. Like this video if you like it. Thank you so much for watching. I'm sure I said that plenty of times by now. But until the next time, take care.